All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Living the Dream podcast. Today on the show, we have Ruhina Mehra, who is an authenticity coach and guide. Ruhina, how you doing?
Hi, I'm doing so well. Thank you, Timmy, so much for having me on your podcast.
Of course. Thanks so much for coming on the show. And we like to jump right in. So if you could start with just telling us a little bit more about yourself and what you like to do for fun, that'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I like to do a few things for fun. My work actually is fun for me. Like, I love working with people. I love talking to people. I love getting to know people. That's a big part of why I got into what I do now. Just connecting people to where they want to go in life, getting clear on who they are. So that's a big part of what's fun for me. Outside of work, of course, I love being like in nature, just exploring new places, hiking, going to the beach, things like that. It's a big part of what rejuvenates me. I love to read novels in particular, so I have a whole list of those. And I love animals. Yeah, so
Okay.
I hang out with my dog a lot.
What type of dog do you have?
She's a Havapoo, so she looks a lot like a mini golden doodle, but she's a Havanese poodle mix.
I gotcha. I gotcha. I don't know
Yeah,
why I asked because I have no idea about dog breeds, but I thought it'd be,
yeah,
for those in the audience who know, they're probably like,
yeah.
"Oh, dog's so cute right now."
Yeah, she's small and fluffy, 15 pounds. Think of, I'm sure like you have a visual
Yep,
brown fur.
I
The
got it now.
visual comes to mind. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And what type of literature do you like to read?
So I, in particular, really enjoy novels. I love historical fiction, like realistic fiction, just things like even set things set in the modern day are great. Anything with stories, that's something I really love. That's also part of why I like love getting to know different kinds of people and working with people. I really love listening to stories and the power of story. And so outside of, books, I also listen to podcasts and like, of course, I love movies and, TV shows like anyone else. But what's
Yeah,
appealing to me about all of these things, the thread holding it all together is really stories.
I gotcha. I gotcha. And so tell us a little bit more about what the day to day looks like as an authenticity coach and guide. Is it mostly lead gen? Is it mostly client work? Is it mostly a mix of both? Tell us about it.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's the week is a mix of both. Typically, today is a little bit more admin related. So I'm doing a little bit more like social media work. I'm doing some emails, like doing some outreach, getting back to some people that I'm interested in working with, or like some groups that I might be doing workshops for, things like that. So I'm spending my time again, just like taking care of things on the back end. On let's say like the middle of the week is a little bit more of my working with clients time. So I usually will have several clients throughout the day, spaced out. In the middle of those, I'll try to get a little bit of quick work done as well, emails, things like that. But usually I do like beginning of the week and end of the week for my admin and little things in between.
I gotcha. I gotcha. And tell us a little bit more about your motivation. What really gets you up and keeps you going every
Yeah.
day?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I already touched on it a little bit, but
Yeah.
it's really I love people. Like I think everyone has a different story to share and a different perspective on life. And we don't realize that, we live in our own little heads in our own bubbles. And of course, with age, with time, with experience, potentially for people that go to therapy, things like that, you get to learn a little bit more about yourself and a little bit more about the world. And I always knew from like a young age that I really wanted to help people. I tried different things. I thought about becoming a doctor. I thought about doing all these things. It took me a little while to figure out that mental health was what I was really passionate about and what I really cared about. And connecting people to themselves like in almost like a mind body soul way, not like realizing that we're separate entities, but realizing that we're holistic people, and then all of these facets of our lives and different aspects of ourselves really help us become one person. So I love helping people connect to who they are, and
Mm.
hopefully moving forward with that.
Yeah. Yeah. When did you realize that you liked to do that? Did you like come out the womb and was like, I'm going to help people become more authentic? Or,
It's funny. There were two things that I always knew I loved. I just didn't know how to articulate them. It's one of those things you just like know in your body, but you don't think about it
Mhm.
necessarily.
Yep.
I always knew I loved people. I was a very social kid, like loved to talk, loved to listen. And I loved kids as well. That's something I still really, really love. But again, it's not something that I was like actively talking about because it was just like a very basic part of who I was
Yep.
until maybe a few years ago. And I've worked in the corporate world. My background is in healthcare, and again, it was that drive to like help people. How can I do that? So I went into public health actually. But I was like, I'm missing this component of after working for a few years, I realized I'm missing this component of like a one-to-one touch. Like I want to really see that change that I'm making and driving in people. And I felt so far removed from that in the corporate world. So that I think was a bigger trigger for me to realize, oh, okay, like that's the piece that's missing. Like, how can we incorporate that into my life a little bit more?
Yeah. Yeah. I gotcha. Well, let's jump into your dreams and goals now, the real meat and potatoes of the podcast. What's your vision for your life and your
Yeah.
kind of company and business as an authenticity coach and guide?
Yeah, yeah. Right now, my vision is to, I mean, this is basic, but like have a successful business. But what that means to me is to impact as many lives as possible. That could mean a few things. Like I love doing the one-on-one sessions a lot. That's really where I get to help cultivate a unique experience for each of my clients. I also love doing workshops. Like I do all kinds of workshops. And what I find there, the workshops, what's so different there is like the community aspect. People really, really, they can, because again, we're so in our heads a lot, we forget that other people are feeling similar emotions to what we're feeling. So
Yeah.
doing workshops in a more like community setting helps people relate to one another and feel less alone. So I love also helping people feel less isolated. So I want to keep doing both of those things. Um, and maybe in time expand, but I've also seen with like growing a business to like different levels and like coaching, helping coach other people to like coach my way. I don't want to lose my like coaching because I'm in this maybe less so for the business and more so for the actual coaching. Like I really, really want to be there for the people. So right now my goal is to keep going where I'm at and see where it takes me in the next few years. And then, I've also learned not to plan too much because life takes you where it will, every so often.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so keep going basically.
There we go. I love it. And so when you say impact as many lives as possible in your business, how many people do you visualize in your head when you say that?
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily the quantity that matters here. It's more the quality for me. So, like, if one person comes to me and I can have a positive impact for them, I'm just as happy. Like, in that moment, I'm just as grateful and proud of that moment as I am for like the 50th person that has come
Mhm.
to me. So
Yep.
I don't know if it's like yeah, I can look back and say, oh my God, I've helped like 20 people. But I think for me, the real uh emotion of the impact, I feel that after every person. So again, I don't have a goal for the number of people. It's as many people that are willing and choose to work with me,
Mhm.
and that come across me. But I'll say as many as possible. So the sky's a limit,
Yeah.
as much as possible. If it ends up being hundreds, that's great. If it ends up being thousands, that's great. If it ends up being more than that, wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I love it. Well, do you have any other dreams or goals that you want to chat about? So we have impact as many lives as possible, both in the
Yeah.
one-on-one for the unique experience and the workshops for the community.
Yeah. I mean, I have all the other dreams and goals. Like I think a lot of people do. Like I love to travel. I love to see new cultures. I love to experience different places. It's part of, again, my like understanding people thing. I love to just go somewhere different and see like the architecture and the food and like understand how people came to that place to create like, whatever they did from like the materials they had at the time they did. And yeah, just like doing that is really fun for me. I'm currently single, but have a family at some point in the future. I love children, like I mentioned. So my hope is that that's something that will happen in the future as well.
I gotcha. I gotcha. Currently single. Are you like actively searching? Like, if you found the one tomorrow, would you be open to marriage in a year or
Oh
2 years?
yeah. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm always open. I feel like I've learned to be open to whatever comes my way. With dating things, you can't like plan
No,
all of
you
that
can't. Yeah.
really. But yes, open if it were to happen tomorrow.
Yeah, I gotcha. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. Any other dreams or goals? We got travel, family, help people feel less isolated, impact them in the business.
Yeah. I mean, those are my big ones.
Those are
I
good
think
ones.
like stay present, be in the moment as much as possible, just live from my heart space. That's really something I strive to do and, help other people strive to do if that's what they would like as well from their lives. Yeah, my dreams are pretty simple, I think, but they, yeah,
It's the best
encompass.
kind to have.
Yeah, yeah. No, agree.
Awesome. I love it. Well, what are the top 1 to 2 skills that you could develop right now to make your dream life come true?
Yeah, I would say this for myself and for anybody. Try different things. It's
Mm,
something that I've definitely been working on a lot. We all grow up with certain fears in our lives, and fear is a big block for us to move forward. So I'll, whether it's dating, whether it's my work, whatever it is, like, having a business, it's a different kind of work. Like, you create your work streams, you create your income. So if I don't reach out to people and I don't talk to new people on a regular basis, it doesn't mean everyone's going to work with me. It might be like 1 in 100. But if I
Mhm.
don't make the effort of going to new places, talking to people, explaining what I do, explaining who I am, then that one person out of the 100 won't even be able to find me if, they need my work. Same thing with dating, go new places, try new things. And I say that for everything, even if you're someone who maybe isn't clear on what you want from life, or like you don't know what your dreams are, you don't know what you like, you don't know what you dislike, try different things. Go to an art class, go to a dance class, go to a different class, whatever it is that makes you happy. So I try to do that as much as I can.
Yeah. So, what are some things you feel you're either gonna try on the horizon, or you feel like you should try, but you have some fear holding you back?
Yeah. Um, I think, you know, it's funny. I actually like faced one this morning. I was a little bit unsure about posting my work on LinkedIn because I was in the corporate world for so long.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, all my like old coworkers are gonna see what I was doing or what I'm doing now. I'm like, is that weird? Like, will they judge me? And again, it's like a lot of old, thoughts and childhood stuff that was coming up. And then I was like, wait, why? What does it matter? Like, does it really matter what anyone else thinks? Like, even if they judge me, like, is that to say that I'm any like less good or bad at what I'm doing now? Like, what I'm doing is important to me. It makes me happy. So that was a fear I faced this morning, and it was like uncomfortable for me to post on LinkedIn, but I was like, okay, we got to do it. Like, we got to try at the very least.
Yeah.
Um, and I think, yeah, I've been trying a few like different things just to like meet new people in terms of my work, especially. I've been going to like fairs and things like that. For a while, I was like, does this even work? Like, who knows? And then one day, a few weeks ago, I was like, you know what? I don't know if it works, but let's do it. So, I invested a certain amount of money in getting all the equipment together because you need a canopy and you need a table, you got to get a chair, you got to get all the materials, like the business cards and all whatever, the sheets, things like that. So I just realized I'm not answering your question because I'm not talking about the future. But these are all things that have just happened that I was
Yeah, no,
pushing.
still great. Still great.
Yeah, that I was pushing myself to do, that I just did. So I'm trying to think if I have anything. There's nothing immediate on my mind. That's why I talked about the past.
I gotcha. I gotcha. If you had to think of one right now, gun to your head, fate of
Yeah,
the
good.
world on the line, what's the new thing you would go try tomorrow that would put you out of your comfort zone?
Tomorrow. All right. I would I would maybe go to uh maybe like a yoga studio or some kind of um venue where the type of people that work with me tend to be, and I would maybe talk to them and ask them if I could do a workshop live for them because I've emailed people a lot just to see if they would get back to me,
Ooh,
but maybe
okay.
going in person and just offering, and they might say no, it's okay, that's really not the thing that's important here. The thing is me making the attempt and making the effort,
I
and it
got
goes
you.
hand in hand with failure as well. That was something that I've also learned. It doesn't People say this all the time, but people don't always realize it. You are going to fail like X number of times. It might be 100 times, it might be 200 until you get to the thing you actually want, but not seeing that failure as permanent and realizing that there are ways to move past it, and not letting it define you. That's really important to me as well. And just like keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that a lot. And so your one thing you would do tomorrow, if you had to, gun to your head, and fate with the world on the line, is basically door knock a yoga studio and ask to do a workshop.
Yeah, I mean, any place that might, have the type of people that I work with. Yeah, whether so yoga studios are what came to mind, but any kind of studio, like a workout studio, or
Mhm.
that's where people gather for community, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it. I like it. And so you mentioned these fairs. What type of fairs did you
Yeah.
have in mind did you go to? Just curious.
Yeah, I went to a couple in the last few weeks. There was one. I'm look in at Los Angeles. There was
Uh,
one near me that was called a mindfulness expo. So I actually asked if I could do a workshop there, and they let me do that. And then there was another one called like the Healing Arts Fair. So that encompassed a whole lot of things. But I was like, let me see if I can like, I've gone to things like I've gone to like farmers markets, fairs. There's always vendors, there's people lined up, everyone's ready to sell you their stuff. But I always thought like, oh, like who's actually gonna like go up to these vendors and like buy things? And just like, wait, but they're there for a reason. Like that's
Yeah.
a strange thing for me to think. I should make an attempt to see what it's like on that side of it. So yeah, I went to this fair just as a vendor. And I had quite a lot of conversations with a lot of like really interesting people, and a lot of people asked about what I did, and we had a chat. A few people reached out, so yeah, it was successful overall, I think.
That's epic. I love to
Yeah,
hear.
yeah, thank you.
Of course, of course. Um, yeah, and just another thing about the failure thing and the realizing that you're going to fail. What's so interesting to me is that, a lot of people are scared of failure, and like business is built on failure. Like you
Mhm.
literally have a marketing campaign that's going to be successful 20% of the time. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm going to send out I'm gonna do Facebook ads and I'm gonna get 100 leads, and I know 20% of them are gonna convert to appointments, and I know I'm gonna close 7 of those appointments into sales, and I'm gonna be profitable on that. And it's like that's a success, but really 93 or 92 of your 100 leads didn't end up converting. Like you
yeah.
failed 92, 93 times, and then you had 7 successes, but the successes outweighed the failure, which is interesting to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and yeah, if you choose to focus on the failure, that's what will really bog people
Mhm.
down. Because people might go into business not having the right expectations. They might think, oh, because if you've been working a job, and getting money regularly, then you're used to things just working out.
Yep.
But in business, it's very different. Yeah. So definitely don't focus on the failure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, any other skills that you want to mention, or is trying different things to kind of overcome fear the one you want to stick with?
I mean, fear is, I think, the biggest block for all of us. I think it's also related to judgment. And judgment to me means a couple things. I think when you judge yourself, you're also judging other people on similar things. It's basically your worldview. You have a judgment of the world.
Mhm,
So trying to release judgment of something, just letting things be as they are, like not like, you know, if you have two colors, black and white, black is not necessarily good or bad, white is not necessarily good or bad. They just are. They're black and they're white. So seeing them as they are, letting them be, and applying that to as many aspects of your life as possible. Once you do that, you start to have a little bit more compassion for people in general. You start to understand where people are coming from. And maybe even if you don't understand where people are coming from, you let people live the way they want to live and you live the way you want to live, and you're less affected by how other people impact your life. There's like less negativity in your own life. You can just go forward and do what you have to do in the world.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So fear and judgment. I feel that.
Yeah.
Well, what are the highest impact daily actions that are going to tick the needle forward towards your dreams and goals?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of things, but the biggest one for me is like one-on-one interaction, which is why I love that's when people really get to know who you are, especially in like the kind of work I'm doing. What I sell is my services. And I'm not selling like a product of some kind. So the product can't speak for itself. I have to speak for myself. So going in person, having conversations with people, whether it's a quick 15-minute call, if someone's interested in what I'm doing, or whether it's a larger workshop that I'm doing at, the yoga studio that I said I'd be going up to. Um,
Tomorrow.
yeah, exactly. Tomorrow. I'll be there. Um, yeah. So whether it's either of those or some other form of me just having a conversation with someone, maybe it's at a networking event, whatever it might be. I think that's the highest impact way to really help people understand who you are, what you're doing, even being on a podcast like yours, because people can really understand my mission and hopefully can see like the truth behind it. It's less obvious in other platforms like social media, or which I do think is still very beneficial, um, or LinkedIn or whatever else people are using, Facebook. Those which are also very helpful, like side platforms to I think be using.
Mhm. But they all are meant to lead to that one-on-one appointment. Like,
Yes, exactly. They are.
yeah, it's not to just sell them on a mass scale and then service them on a mass scale. It's like, yeah, funnel. It's the funnel. You get them at
It's
the top
fun.
and narrows
Yeah.
down. So,
They might see one small thing that's interesting. Like maybe I talked about something like yesterday that was really interesting, a topic, and one person may see that and they feel it in, their gut. That feels like something that's held them back from, moving forward to live their best lives. So yeah, by no means am I discounting any other form of marketing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, awesome. What character trait do you most need to develop right now to make your dream life come true?
Um, oh, interesting. I would say, um, it's a hard one.
All good?
Yeah, I would say so I'll elaborate on this. Diligence, not in that I am not diligent about what I'm doing, because I'm doing like a lot of things every week, like trying new things, but I think maybe diligence in like one thing and just like, so maybe I just go to networking events like 10 times a month or something, or like go to those yoga studios 10 times a month and try that just so I can test the waters and keep like start, um, collecting feedback for myself a little bit more on what's working. So I right now I'm trying like lots of different things. I'm doing social media, I'm going in person, I'm doing like the XYZ thing. So I wonder if being diligent about just trying one thing for maybe like a month or so will help me understand what my clients want better.
I gotcha. Okay. So I'm hearing some diligence, I'm hearing some consistency, I'm hearing some focus.
It's interesting because I have those things, but they're all kind of like I like routine, but I like things to be changed up a little bit. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, I
Yeah,
think maybe if I focused in like the one thing at a time.
I gotcha. I gotcha. Okay. And what does this one thing need to produce for you to be able to consistently focus on it? Is it a personality thing in you, like I just need stuff to change? Is it a business revenue goal where it's like I need to produce profit in X number of days? Or is it a kind of method of like I need to enjoy the method of like what kind of hat does it fall?
Aspect.
Yeah.
I think so. I definitely have like some revenue coming in, but I wonder if I changed that's the primary thing. If I wonder if I changed the way I'm doing things, if I would have more, or maybe it would be less even. Like it's kind of like a testing ground, I
Hmm.
think, for me to see how things would go if I tried things like 1 month or maybe 2 weeks at a time. Maybe 1 month is too much.
I gotcha. I gotcha. So it's less of a you need to be extremely happy with the method of marketing or you need to be extremely knowledgeable or it's not a personal thing, it's a kind of more of a business logistics thing. It's like this method needs to generate X number of revenue so I can do it consistently and sustainably.
Exactly, exactly. Yes, you put that
I
beautifully
see.
into words.
I see. Okay. If you had to pick one method that you think, say this is the only method you could pick, you have
Yeah.
to stick with this business for the next 80 years and this is the
Right.
only method you can do lead gen, what method would be your number one right now?
I think definitely anything that allows for that one-on-one conversation. So I mean, I'm definitely on social media and I think I can have impact there, but it's not like the thing that I gravitate towards. So the like doing the speaking events that I've been doing, that's what I want to be doing. So like again, I've been emailing, people and whatnot, but going in person and saying, hey, like if you're willing, like I'd love to offer a workshop or offer like services at your business. And if people, not every business is obviously open to that, but if it feels like a good fit, then it's something that I would be willing to do. So I think that would be the biggest impact. I really, again, what I love is like face-to-face interaction with people. So that would be a good sustainable way for me to keep moving forward.
I gotcha. And so prospecting for those webinar or not webinars. Sorry, that's a online thing. It's a workshop. Prospecting for these workshops, is it like cold emailing, cold calling these businesses and setting up? Is it more of the door knocking? Is it more of a referral? How does that typically work?
Yeah, I mean, it's a combination of all the things that so far what's worked. I've, either had contacts that have led me to other contacts that they know. Um, Not being afraid of like bringing it up around someone, doing it in a way that's not super aggressive I did try not to, I don't want to make people uncomfortable. I don't want people to feel like they have to help me out or they have to bring me into their workspace. I don't want them to feel obligated in any way. Um, yeah, but just I think so far again, I've been cold emailing. It's worked sometimes, it's not worked sometimes, but I think that face-to-face interaction of, like I said, going to those yoga studios, it's been on my mind, but I haven't done it as much. Or just going to spaces where different people reside and just like talking to them and seeing, if my goals align with their goals.
If you had to pick one way to reach out to them, what would most excite you? Would it be the cold walk up, cold email, cold call, networking?
Yeah. What would most excite me? It's hard to say because I haven't tried the cold, like walking up, but I feel like that could be interesting. It could be a good way for me to just have a conversation. It doesn't have to be like a pressure filled situation. Just
Yeah,
a way to like have a conversation about what I do and who I am and move on from there.
I got you. I got you. Okay. Well, cool.
Yeah, thanks
How,
for deep
how
diving into my marketing strategy.
you said what?
Thanks for deep diving into my marketing strategy.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I guess I have one other question.
Yes,
You're
yes.
feeling like you need to kind of diligence, consistency, and focus. Is it feasible for you to just be like, okay, I'm gonna do the walk up method to every like store or restaurant business that fits my client profile for the next 3 months, 6 months? Is that a feasible thing for you to do?
I think it is. I think part of the reason why I haven't done it is because it's so much easier sometimes to get work done like on your computer. You're just like there already, it's in front of you. And I'm just like, okay, let me crank out like these 10 things. But if I set a schedule for like, if I make a list of all the people that are located in one area at a time, like different areas, but like start with one area, visit the like five or six that are there, or like 10, however many there are. That way it won't feel as overwhelming, maybe,
Yeah,
because right now it's like, oh, I could go there today and talk to them, or I could be here and like create some marketing material and some for some other formats that I use.
yeah, I got you. Do you want to commit to that right now?
Sure, let's commit to it. So,
Okay.
so tomorrow's Tuesday. I'm adding it to my calendar. I'm like, where can I go?
Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, that's awesome. Let me know how it goes.
I'll let you know. I'll let you know. Thank you. Wow, you did a whole coaching session on me. I feel like I just got like a new business coach in the process.
Epic. How long are you gonna commit to it for? You gonna commit 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 2 years?
I will commit at a smaller scale for now, just
Mhm.
so that I know how much like energy and time it takes for me to do that. So let's like start for the next like let's say 2 weeks.
Give me
It's
three.
three. You want three? Okay, I have some travel coming up, so I wasn't sure if that was like fair, but I'll give you three. I'll let you know how that goes.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, if there were one or two people you could meet right now, this could be a specific person or a type of person, and they'd really
Yeah.
help you take that next step towards your dreams and goals. Who would they be, and how would they help you?
Yeah, I have always wondered. I know she's a slightly controversial person sometimes, just like as of recently, but I have always wondered how J.K. Rowling, before like the Harry Potter franchise became this massive thing, how she had the persistence to even start what she was doing, or not maybe the faith to start what she was doing. But the reason I say that is because when she wrote the first book, it was not the whole story. I always wonder, how did she know that? Did she even know that this one story was going to become this big thing? Did she always have like the whole seven books relatively panned out in her mind? Or was she just taking it one at a time? Because I've read all the books. I was a really big Harry Potter fan growing up. After reading all the books, it's like, there's no way. Like, you can't have all seven without having some kind of idea of how this whole thing is going to go.
Yeah.
I mean, of
Mhm.
course, it blew up and became this giant thing. I'm sure she didn't expect that. But yeah, I always wonder, just like before starting, did she have an idea of like, I'm gonna make a whole series
Yeah.
and like come up with this whole storyline?
Yeah. That's interesting. I don't know because I don't know J.K. Rowling, but
Yeah, yeah. No, I don't know her either, so that's why I'd ask her.
yeah, there we go. Well, cool. Now we're gonna jump into our thriving three. We're gonna blow through this, and then we're gonna have one last section, and we got to do it in 8 minutes. You ready?
Perfect.
Awesome. So, what's your favorite book, movie, or podcast? Pick one.
Yes. I have my favorite podcast is Armchair Expert. If you
Okay.
haven't listened, I highly recommend. Dax Shepard is excellent. He does what I love, which is, we're talking to people, understanding who they are, getting to know them on like a really deep level.
What's his name?
Armchair Expert.
The podcast host. Sorry,
Oh, sorry, Dax Shepard.
Dax Shepard. Gotcha.
He's a celebrity, actually. He is Kristen Bell, if you know who that is, her husband.
Oh, there we go. I do know Kristen Bell.
Yeah,
I know the name. I can't really see her face right now, but I know she's popular. So
yeah, yeah. She's one of the Frozen gals.
there you go. What's one way you like to take care of yourself?
I mentioned this already, but I really love going in nature. I find that it brings me back. into my body a lot. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people can relate with this. Sometimes we have a lot on our plates or we have too many things to do. Our to-do list gets so long. So we're always future thinking, like, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? So like, it's, essentially what it is anxiety. But like, when I go to a place of nature, whether it's to a park or the beach, just like sit there for some time, I do find myself coming back into my body, and I find I can be much more present then.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. And what's one action step you can take right now or continue to take if you're already doing it to meet J.K. Rowling?
Oh, to meet JK Rowling. I thought you were going to ask me about my business. And I was like, man, I committed to 3 weeks already. um, that's an interesting question. I think it was so aspirational that I never even thought about how I would meet her, but I could go to London. I think she still lives there.
There we go. There we go. If you really get serious about meeting her, you should read a book called Giftology.
Apology.
And then you
Okay.
should do some research on her and get her a gift that would really touch her heart. Like maybe, her mom always got her this pair of socks when they were growing up. And so you get her 20 pair of it.
Yeah. Oh, that's a lovely tip. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And now we got our final series of questions. What's one limiting belief that continues to pop up in your life, if any?
Mm, limiting belief. I have spent becoming a coach, like required me to work so much on my own limiting beliefs. That's what I spent the last like 4 or 5 years doing. I'd like to hope, at least none that I don't have any conscious limiting beliefs. I'm sure there
Mm,
are some like floating around in the back of my head that I'm
yeah,
not aware of, but right now I like to say nothing that's coming up.
I gotcha. I gotcha. Well, cool. Since you don't have any conscious limiting beliefs, that means when they become conscious, you really do the work. So tell us about what thoughts or actions you resort to when limiting beliefs come up to kind of take back control.
Yeah, absolutely. Depending, on of course what it is. I usually find that limiting beliefs are again related to judgment.
Hmm.
And I try to understand the different perspectives around that limiting belief. Like, this is how I think. How can other people maybe think? Why do I think like this? I really try to do the work on myself. And I feel if I feel like I can't, then I do seek out a third party, like a therapist or someone, or I'll talk it out. I find that for me, at least talking it out with people is almost enough sometimes to get different perspectives and really, really help heal that limiting belief.
Yeah, that awareness really it does a number. Like as soon as you get aware of the limiting belief and then you admit it, it's like it kind of just dissipates.
Oh,
Because
completely. Yeah.
yeah, you start to realize it dissipates and then you just have the ability to choose to do something else and you recognize it when it comes up again and you still have the ability to choose to do something else. So it's really that awareness that gives us our power back.
No, completely. I agree. Yeah. It's like you said, it's the power. Like, we don't, a lot of the times we give things power because they are subconscious. They're not something that we're actively aware of. So I
Yep.
completely agree.
All right, one last question for you. Ready?
Ready.
What is your favorite belief about yourself?
My favorite belief. Um, my favorite belief about myself is that I, as a person, and this translates to everybody, am valuable no matter, as in like valuable and worthy as a human being, regardless of any of my external factors. So that
Mm,
means regardless of where I come from, regardless of my background, regardless of who my family is, my financial background, regardless of how I look, regardless of my career, any of those things. I am who I am worthy, and just because I exist. And I want all people to know that.
I love it. Well, awesome. Rahina, that's all we got for you. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you. This was fun.
Of course. Is there anything else you want to chat about before we sign off?
No, I think that's everything. Just such a lovely conversation. I hope your audience enjoys it. And it was so lovely
Yes.
meeting you.
Awesome. Well, if you guys loved Ruhina, loved what she had to say, make sure to check her out. All the links to do so will be down in the show notes. Thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you on the next one. And on that note, we're out.